This is a download from Rutland Radio.
Hello, and thank you for downloading the Rutland Radio podcast from rutlandradio.co.uk. This is where you can hear the best bits from the last week. For £20, people get just this most amazing night.
Yeah, so it's at Oakham Castle. There's drinks, canapes, live music by a local singer called Matt Bankhurst, who's actually just released his first record.
Yes, we've played him, actually. He's from Market Overton, isn't he?
Yes,
we played him just the other week. We did.
Did you?
We did.
Brilliant. Okay, maybe you can link that up.
Yeah,
to
indeed.
Now,
indeed.
So yeah, for £20 they get drinks, canapes, live music. There's an auction and a raffle.
As well for the auction and the raffle especially.
Yeah,
tell us some of the prizes
really
you got.
Well. Some of the girls in the office have been sort of chasing and tracking down different things. We got some, I think, Mulberry purses and
got some jewellery from Heidi Kilson.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
We got some prints.
Yes, and there's a night away in a hotel with a 3-course meal and stuff like that.
Stapleford Park.
Yeah.
Tickets to the Leicester Tigers. Theatre tickets for Peter Pan in Leicester. A whole selection of
lots to be up for
all
grabs.
sorts.
And all the £20 that people pay goes direct to the charity as well, because you've managed to sort of cover the costs.
We're covering the full cost of the event, so everything will go directly to the trust. We're hoping to get about 120 people. That's the maximum amount that we can have there. So far, I think we're almost at about 100 now.
Fab. So just the last few tickets to get away.
Final push.
Yeah.
And do people get in touch with you if they'd like to come along?
Yes, they can call the office or they can email me to get tickets.
And what are the best addresses and phone numbers and stuff?
The phone number is 01572 759 759. My email address is simone.harley@sjpp.co.uk.
Almost the best phone number in Oakham, isn't it? 759 759.
It's easy to remember.
If we'd have had that, absolutely. And why this charity? What was it that actually? Because you met Catherine and Jamie a while back, and you've been committed to doing something for them.
Yes, it's quite an interesting story in a roundabout way. My own son was diagnosed about 3 years ago with cancer, and something that Macmillan do through is arrange respite breaks for children and families. And I remember actually seeing Harley's house in Norfolk, and my surname is Harley. So that was, I said to my son, do you want to go there? And we didn't in the end, but it stuck in my mind. And then Rosie, one of the girls that works for us, her children go to school with Catherine, and she came into the office one day, told us about this charity, and I obviously linked it all up, got in touch with them, and yes, it turned out that it was that same caravan. So yeah, for me, there was a little bit of a personal connection there, but at the end of the day, it's a local family. They've done amazingly well setting up this charity. The money that they've raised and what they do for children with cancer and families is just...
Haven't they seen the Prime Minister recently or something? You mentioned that.
Yes, Theresa May on Wednesday, wasn't it, actually, where she recognised their contribution to the work they've done. Yeah,
they got a Points of Light award. So it's just incredible, and they're such a lovely, lovely couple. So yeah, it's as soon as Stephen and Lisa and Oliver found out about it, they were like, "Yep, let's go for it. Let's support them."
So gets underway 7ish on Friday.
7 till 11.
Mm-hmm.
The auction and the raffle will be about 9 o'clock. Quite a relaxed affair. I think if people can come along for the whole event, then great. At the end of it, Matt's going to do a bit of a get up and dance for about an hour, so should be a really good, lively party atmosphere, and with the castle as well as a backdrop, it should look really good. We're very excited.
Excellent stuff.
Is that right?
I want to confirm that. They said yes, and I've chased them.
I was looking upside down, I couldn't read it.
I don't want... No, so SJP, if we do... don't put this on because I need to confirm
that's fine.
it.
Yes, absolutely.
They said to me that they'll double up to £5,000 if we raise it. I'm sure they will do, but
Don't
I've
worry.
emailed the guy today to make
Well-
sure that's definitely still going ahead.
Yeah, I was
so
just-
Just
Sure,
get
do
back
it
in
yourself.
touch with us when you know how much you've raised,
Yeah.
and when you know how much you
I
can
will do, yeah.
and then we'll mention that separately.
I mean, we think
It's just really completely about getting people along at the moment, so we
exactly.
don't need to say that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so we've had a couple of charity dues one out of our staff office in Stamford and stuff like that. So this is kind of the next level up to use the castle. But even the one at Stamford, it was the same do. £20 on the door, and you get in, and it's all you can drink. There's canapes going round, lovely food, band on, and some fantastic prizes. So it's welcome to all and everybody.
Great, thanks very much for coming in to us here at Rutland Radio. Have a great night on Friday.
Thank
Thank
you very
you.
much.
Rutland Radio.
It's Rutland Radio breakfast time. I'm Rob Pisani. As I was mentioning, feeling festive as we head into November, and the tickets are now on sale for a festive event in Rutland that always sells out. I'm talking about the Rutland NSPCC Carol Concert. One of the organisers is Barbara Krellin. Now, Barbara, this is just the most phenomenal night, isn't it, on the first Monday in December?
It is. It's an absolutely fantastic evening, very festive. There's a mix of carols, Christmas readings, and we've got some really great stars, new ones on board this year even, but the old ones coming back again because they enjoy it as much as we do.
Yeah, people like Peter Wheeler, obviously of Leicester Tigers and England rugby fame, Nigel Coburn of gardening fame, and you've got two new names on the block as well. Now, who would have thought you'd be able to actually trump Mary Berry, but I think you nearly have on this.
It would appear so. Two gentlemen come on board who lots of people we know lots of things about, probably more than I know about them.
And we're talking about Chris Villiers of Emmerdale fame and all sorts of stuff on the TV acting-wise, but also the Reverend Richard Coles, the dancing Reverend from Strictly.
He is amazing, absolutely amazing. Yeah, I do know about that one. As I say, I'm not into stars, but I do know about Richard Coles. He's brilliant. I think one of the key things, though, that to point out about Christopher Villiers is that he was in the Hetty Feather, the BBC popular drama for children, about an abandoned little girl brought up in the Foundling Hospital. And, of course, that's links in with Lars Thorpe, who is the director of the Foundling Museum in London. Obviously, the NSPCC was set up for foundlings and children who needed support.
And over the last, must be 15 years the NSPCC Carol Concert's been going, you've raised a phenomenal amount of money.
Yes, last year was staggering, 34,000, but in total we've got over £250,000 in for the NSPCC.
Now, we mentioned the Reverend Richard Coles is giving a reading, but it's not necessarily a religious evening, although it does take place in All Saints Church.
No, that's the venue. We do call it a carol concert. We want to attract everybody in, and obviously carol services are Christian, but we want to go right across the board with all faiths, all ages, all interests. And if you haven't been before, please do try to get in and get some of those tickets that are still available.
And there's hampers to give away at the end of the evening. There's standing up, sitting down for 12 days of Christmas without giving out too much away.
Absolutely, yes. Fantastic hampers, Christmas hampers. And that goes in the drawer as you go in, and then it's drawn either towards the end or at the end, yes.
So if you're free on Monday night, the 3rd of December, do try and go, but please don't wait until the night because the tickets do sell out. It's £15. You can get them from Don Paddy's in Uppingham, James Selleck's estate agent in Oakham, also from Margaret Wheeler on 01572 813 626. It is a phenomenal night, isn't it? I mean, for you, one of the organisers, it's the culmination of a year of planning, really.
Well, we're fortunate that Margaret is such a good organiser. Over the years it rolls on. We do try to change it year on year. And yes, it is a heavy day. We prepare all day on the Monday, prepare the church and get everything ready, mulled wine, mince pies, the sound system, make sure we've got first aid in place. And then, of course, it doesn't end when the concert finishes because next day we've got to go and strip it all down again. So, yeah, it's a year's planning, but 2 days of very hard work for a very worthwhile cause.
Highlights from the past 7 days, the Rutland Radio podcast.
Adam Lowe, Chairman, Oakham Town Council.
Now, every year there's talk about Oakham's Christmas tree. This year I hear it's an artificial one, but it's something that's really a bit different and a bit special.
Yes, there have been ongoing issues over previous years where we haven't got quite where we wanted to be, and the people have spoken. there was a special task and finish group set up for the town council with various councillors being involved at different points. And the options they looked at was maybe to look at an artificial one, which is a large cone-shaped, pre-decorated, pre-lit tree that will stand at least the same height as the original real trees in the same location, and hopefully give a brighter, more Christmassy look to the town. That's the plan.
Now, what would you say to people who are thinking, artificial tree, all sounds a bit modern, Oakham's a traditional market town, what are you trying to do?
We're trying something different. Our original contract came to a close last year, so we have to revisit the situation. And we'd previously explored the possibility of artificial trees. So we've gone into a contract over a potential 3-year period again with a new contractor. And on the first year, we thought, well, we'll give an artificial tree a go, because it was recommended that it could be the answer to some of the issues. And there's also an approach here that it was more environmentally friendly. We didn't want to be cutting down trees just for the sake of Christmas festive period. And then, in fact, lots of towns and villages do use artificial trees. And so as a one-off year, we thought we'd try it this year and see how what it looked like and see what people thought. There was an engagement exercise done with local retailers and the like, which was, if I'm honest, a little bit disappointing though.
It's the first I'd heard, I must admit, when I saw it over the weekend. I mean, I understand why we would necessarily not be involved, and you were talking to the local traders. But as far as this new one, does that mean that maybe there might be some new lights for the town as well?
There's a whole new lighting system being introduced. So the lights that we had up before, which were known as they were white icicle strings, so it's basically a wire across the road with bits dangling down. They got wrote off last year because they'd reached the end of their some of them were failing, some of them had been replaced, but to put a whole new scheme up, we had to sort of look at redoing that. So once again, this new company we've gone into partnership with have come up with the concept of actually going for coloured and slightly larger lights rather than these small LEDs. I believe there's still going to be LED within there, but they're just going to be brighter and more colourful. So there should be a new lighting system, a whole new setup down the main street or the high street.
Does it mean any more parts of the town will be covered, or are we looking at the same sort of area?
There certainly won't be any more of the town covered because the high street is only so long. And one of the things we were keen to do this year was to actually review in detail the anchor points, which are the bits that the wires bolt onto, because they have to be checked every year, and that's not a cheap thing to do. And also to check all the electrical testing. And some people may have seen a vehicle out in the last week where we've had a new electrical contractor, which has been engaged by the lighting contractor that we're dealing with. They're actually checking all the electrical points, and they've already had to fix, for want of a better phrase, some of the electrical issues that they've encountered. So we have a bit of an infrastructure issue with our anchor points and our electrical points. So we won't be extending it down because it would mean bolting into people's buildings. There will be a slight reduction on lights, i.e. there won't be any new lights or any lights at all in Market Place, because that's quite a well-lit place area anyway.
And obviously the Christmas tree switch on will be on late night shopping, which is the second Monday in December. But will people be able to actually see the lights and the tree actually up before then?
Yeah, in actual fact, there are plans because the chairperson of the Promotions Publicity Working Group, which are part of the group that actually came up with these ideas, which is Councillor Wadsworth. They're actually doing they're planning on doing a Christmas tree switch on the week before. And Sally Ann is actually already engaging or trying to engage with the businesses to actually get involved in that and do some extra the week before on I think it's the Sunday before, where they'll actually be doing a separate switch on. So people will actually be able to get involved beforehand. So I won't be about then, I have to say. I'll be in Germany on at Barmstead with our twin town, doing a little bit of a twinning engagement exercise.
So that's Sunday the 2nd of December. It looks like it could well be the evening when everything's going to be switched on and people can see it in all its glory. Yes, absolutely, yeah.
And at the end of the day, I mean, yeah, this is a leap of faith because, I mean, initially a lot of people, even on the council, we're not sure how people would react, but we looked at all the positives that have come out of it, that a whole new concept, i.e. artificial tree, multicoloured, and but of course the environmental issue there that we're not cutting down a tree. So it is a bit of a leap of faith, and we're hoping that people will embrace it and not just criticise it. As I know there have been a few negative comments, but we tend to ignore the negative people in the town, because they don't serve the purpose of the town by just being negative. You need to come up with suggestions, not just negativity, don't you?
You do, and no one can actually say what it's going to be like until they see it, I guess, in place.
No, and if I'm very, very honest, I am nervous, because whenever you try something new, you don't know how it's going to work out. But on saying that, if we look back to the 70s, before we had Rutland Water, there was a lot of objection to that, and that's been an absolute godsend, hasn't it? And it's likewise with the town centre developments. People have been rejecting proposals there, but the thing is, people are going to have to start taking little bits of, let's believe in trying something different. Because to do things always the same way and expect different results is not going to be happening, is it? So we're prepared to try it. And if it doesn't work, because we're on a 3-year contract, and this time we've not bought the lights, because when we bought the LED lights, they started to degrade. Everything degrades over time, especially outside. So by going on to a lease contract, next year we could have a different setup again. So this isn't set in stone for 3 years. We could change it next year.
Adam Lowe, thanks very much for joining us on Rutland Radio and explaining a little about how Christmas is going to look in Oakham.
Always a pleasure.
Rutland Radio.
Now, you probably know about Robert Looms Watchmakers of Stamford, Looms & Co., who make these handmade watches with British movement. They make them in Stamford, and a couple of watches went up Everest with the Gurkhas back in May 2017. Now, the first one made thousands to help the Mountain Trust and those in Nepal. A second one is going up for auction today for 10 days. Rabina Hill tells us more about it from Looms. Now, Rabina, I seem to remember it was a good few thousand that actually was raised last time.
Yes, we raised £10,000 for the Mountain Trust last time, and of course we're hoping to better that this time, because this is a much more famous charity, really, with worldwide supporters. So with any luck, we will better £10,000, and that's certainly our aim.
So the Gurkha Welfare Trust is who you're raising money for this time?
Yes, it's the Gurkha Welfare Trust, and in fact, Sergeant Milan Roy actually wore this watch on Everest himself. So, yes, it's very exciting indeed that we're going to try and raise some money for the Gurkha Welfare Trust, which of course does similar work to the other charity, in particularly helping the victims of the earthquake of 2015. And there's still a huge amount of work to do. And one of the things that the Gurkha Welfare Trust are concentrating on is building earthquake-safe houses, similar to the kind of properties they have in Japan, so that if there is another earthquake, they will survive or have a better chance of surviving.
So you raised £10,000 last time. Now, this watch is basically worth that sort of amount, isn't it? That's the amount of, man hours and workmanship that's actually gone into this.
Yes, it's actually the same watch in the shop will retail at $8,850. So yes, it is worth quite a lot of money. Yes, it is. But so we're hoping to get as much money as we possibly can. Of course, this one's unique because unlike the ones that are, you can go and buy a watch very similar to it in the shop, but of course that won't have been up Everest, whereas of course this one has.
Indeed, and Sir Edmund Hillary actually went up Everest back in 1953 with an English watch, so this is what sort of happened again with the Gurkhas. That's
right, and it was seeing that picture of Sir Edmund Hillary with Sherpa Tenzing on top of Everest wearing his Smith's watch. And of course our watches are based on the Smith's movement, so there's continuity. And so it was seeing that picture that sort of inspired me, and I said, could we get our watches up Everest? And of course we did. Absolutely, and a very successful mission it was, I know, for all the Gurkhas involved. Yes, well, of course, it was originally they went up in 2015 and were failed to summit because of the earthquake. But they wanted to finish the job, and it was very important. It was part of their 200th year anniversary of being part of the British Army. So they went back up in 2017, and that was nail-biting. And it was so exciting to be there. And when they sent a simple message, summited, on the 17th of May 2017.
Yeah, absolutely. And so if you have, fairly deep pockets and you'd like something which is, virtually a one-off, well, I say a two-off, only two of a kind, actually have made their way up Everest. The auction is actually online at Bonhams.
It's online at Bonhams. It's www.bonhams.com/auction/25530. It starts at 10 o'clock this morning and goes on till the 16th of November. You can also access it from our website, where we have a link, which is www.loomswatches.com. So you also get, as part of the package, so you get the watch, you also will get a flag which has been signed by the members of the climbing team.
So it literally is a money can't buy experience.
It absolutely is, yes. I mean, that, the flag with the climbing team signatures, it's a Gurkha flag with the signatures of the climbing team on it, which comes with the watch, which gives it its provenance.
So a unique experience, all made in Stamford, which is the best part.
All made in Stamford, taken up Everest, a unique purchase, and one of its kind.
Rabina Hill, thanks very much for joining us on Rutland Radio today. So 10 o'clock this morning, the auction opens, 10 days to get your bid in, and something around £10,000 would be great or greater.
Or even more, even better.
Rutland Radio's best bids on the podcast.
Okay, my name's Darren Rawnsley. I run the theatre here at Wiles Lodge, and we decided that it was due to the 100 years we'd have the memorial and get all the boys involved in the remembrance of World War I and all those who died for us.
And actually this morning you had your very own wreath laying ceremony. You had the British Legion here as well.
Yeah, the British Legion from Stamford, so the President, Mr. Steve Bond. We had the bugler play the last post, and we had standard bearers, so we had the Royal British Legion standard and we had the Union flag. And the whole ceremony was really the same as you would have on Sunday, on the 11th. It was just cut a little bit short, but we had everything, including the national anthem. And Reverend Andy File came and did the blessing and the opening.
And what we're hearing in the background is Jed Jaggard, who a lot of people locally know his passion for sort of wartime history, showing some of the boys here what it really would have been like, the equipment they'd have been using.
Yeah, and we've got, he's come in for the whole day, so he's brought his trench, so the boys are able to actually go inside the trench, stand on the step, have a look what it's like to have to go over the top. He's informing them all about everything they carried, all the kit they carried, how heavy it was, the tank corps, and how we had to move forward and how we moved forward towards the enemy. And also he's letting them know that it wasn't a good thing, it wasn't a very nice thing, but everybody thought it was going to be a heroic time. And the boys are learning a great deal about that even just using a rifle, having to feel the weight of it, and think about the mud and everything they had to live in. And so he's doing a really good job. He's bringing the history alive for us. And we've had every class come into the theatre to spend some time with Jed, and we've got a couple of boys helping. So we go through the different years, so 1914's uniform up to 1918's uniform.
And actually for some of those here, those who went to war, who signed up, weren't much older.
No, they weren't. Some lied about their age, so you could be 15 and 16 and actually be on the front line. So it was horrendous, and they just thought it was fun. And Jed's just been saying that if people didn't go across over the top, then the officers were allowed to shoot them where they stood. Our own men. Unbelievable.
Rutland Radio.
My name is Tim Moore.
And you were speaking here today as Rutland gets nearly £500,000 to safeguard children's and students' mental health. Your experience was pretty bleak, really, a few years ago.
Yeah. My experiences of CAM several years ago were poor, and I knew that other young people were having similar poor experiences, and I thought it was up to myself to change that, and I spoke up to CAM's executives to get change started now, and this was back in 2015. So that was really important. I hit rock bottom, and I knew, no, I can't go on like this, right? And nobody else. I have to stand up for myself and others and implement change now, because I don't want other people going through what I went through. It's a horror, and change has to happen. And the message I want to give to people is that you just stand up for yourself. If something's not quite right, you're not quite sure about something, just stand up. Speak to people, because people will listen if you give them the time.
And for you, it was so extreme that you were in hospital, presumably.
Yeah,
you were sectioned.
Yeah, well, I wasn't sectioned, but I was cut off and isolated from the rest of the world. I had my belongings searched. I wasn't even allowed a phone. And it got to the point where people thought I'd died because they didn't hear anything. And that was I'd never been so isolated. I do like alone time from now and again, but being truly cut off was an awful experience, and that's not something anyone should go through.
And this was all through a diagnosis of depression?
Yeah, I was diagnosed with, as CAMS called it, anxiety and depression disorder back in November of 2015. And a few weeks later I was admitted into hospital after breaking down.
And how old were you then?
At the time I was 15.
Which, that is an unbelievable situation for anyone to be in, but it does happen.
Yeah, and it does. And unfortunately some young people have gone through exactly the same thing. For me, I was suffering from... the depression was triggered by academic pressure from the school I was at the time. They were saying, to do well, you have to be academic, you have to go to university, and that wasn't me. I'm very practical. I'm not. Some people are academic, fine, but I'm not one of those, and I'm different. At least that's the way I describe myself. And some people do, and I thought, no, I can't. I had to block out what people were saying. So no. I had to find a way that works for myself. And that's what I want everyone to do, is find their own way, be unconventional, be daring, be bold, but most importantly, just stand up for yourself.
And tell us how that experience is helping others now, because you're actually working across the Midlands.
Yeah, across the Midlands, I am at least helping change CAMS, and also we've had universities come to us. We're almost the group and part of CYPI Apt is almost like a design consultancy, because universities actually come to us and say, look, here's how we want to improve mental health for young people. Can you assess it for us from a young person's perspective? And we've given them everything. We've given what they could do better, what's already good, and that's really good. I never thought I'd see the day where I'd be actually making a difference across the Midlands, let alone Rutland. But the work I've done in this county, and indeed in Leicestershire and Leicester, has been key. It's been the launch pad to my success.
And as a county, with the money that Rutland's now got, Rutland is kind of a flagship in leading change, I suppose. Oh yeah,
Rutland is a flagship across the Midlands, if not the whole of England. We're going to make a difference, absolutely.
I'm Amelia Seymour, and I chair the Youth Forum for Resilient Rutland.
And through your work through the Youth Council, I guess you spoke to a lot of students and worked out that things weren't as good as they could be.
Yeah, so 3 years ago with the Rutland Youth Council, we ran Make Your Mark, which we do every 2 years, and we ensure all school students in Rutland fill in their ballot paper. And 3 years ago, the one voted for the most was mental health, so that's what we campaigned for and really tackled, and we spent 2 years on that, and it kind of came out with the event in the castle where we had Kevin Buchanan from Manchester, and we had all the schools there and young people talking about why mental health was important, and that got the whole school approach started, so they all pledged to make a difference and to consciously act to support mental health, so that we surveyed young people for, and then with Resilient Rutland and our youth forum we asked our peers, and it wasn't formal but just around saying what they would feel and what they liked as well, because we're meant to be representing young people for Rutland, so that's what we did. Yeah.
And you want the students and mental health professionals, a teacher, to work together in each school?
Yes, I do. I think it's important that students are involved in it, and I think students know how the schools run, so you can't have someone from Catmos saying how Uppingham should do it, so I think you need that in each school, and teachers need to be involved as well, because that's where they're the people who lead it, and who a lot of children will go to. They're the ones safeguarding trained and all of that, so I think that's important for them to talk. Yeah. And
you also said in your address earlier to the guests here, it's not just academic pressure.
No. No, I think there's a lot of parental pressure, there's social pressures as you get older, 17, 18 in particular, and financial pressures. So even at secondary school, if you want to go to get somewhere, find some cheap food, or to go shopping, or to do anything really suitable for our age group, like a cinema or bowling, we have an extra cost of travel. And I think finding the time to go out to do a simple thing takes a lot longer, costs a lot more, and that makes just a simple task a lot bigger, which I certainly do think helps mental health.
I suppose at the end of the day, teenagers, like anyone, needs to let off steam.
Yeah.
You know, you're in a really controlled environment learning. You need to do other stuff as well to keep your brain healthy and yourself healthy.
Yeah, exactly. I think the biggest thing is music, sport, art. They're the things we enjoy, and they're the things we're told are secondary. And to the school, to college, and to our parents and family lives, we have to move them and stop doing them, and cancel plans for our hobbies for other things. And actually, they're the ones that build our resilience and do what we enjoy and give us that downtime. So I don't think that's right, but yeah.
Lizzie Holtz.
Alexa Smith.
Now, you've been involved in this whole project kind of since the start.
Yeah.
And what do you hope that today will kind of give Rutland as a county?
I think it'll give the young people of Rutland a lot of hope for the future, really improve their resilience and the ability to deal with mental health issues, or even to perhaps prevent them from becoming issues that require serious help. And I really think it will be good for the development of Rutland, the youth of Rutland, and then from, as a standpoint, expand across the country, because we're nice and central and small, and we're dedicated and committed, and we can spread the knowledge. And I really think we can lead by example, and just help a lot of people.
And what was your experience kind of going through the education system locally? I mean, we do so well. I mean, is that something that actually brings its own pressure?
I think we do as a county. I think there is a lot of pressure. I mean, the schools that we went to in particular, they were high pressure schools, and people did expect good grades, and we expected good grades of ourselves. But it does come with its challenges. I was particularly I was very interested in extracurricular activity. I did a lot of sport. I was part of this. I did lots of other things. And the academic pressure does play a part in that. I think you have to really take care and understand what you want best, and not necessarily what everybody else expects of you. It's something that we've learned over the years, and now we kind of live like that, don't we? We just do what you want kind of thing. Yeah. But then it was very much you did what everyone expected of you, and it's just opening up young people to be more relaxed, maybe make more realistic expectations,
to focus on themselves, really, because I think part of the problem with Rutland being so small is that there's a certain maybe expectation and like stereotype surrounding the young people, and it's one that like educated, and it's like an expectation that it's perfect and idyllic, and it's just not the reality. But because we have that expectation, it puts a lot of pressure on. We put a lot of pressure on ourselves. We get it from the education system, from schools, from our parents, from friends. There is a lot of comparison between friends.
Competition again, between friends.
Like I once cried because I did worse than my friends on an English essay that didn't even count for anything. And I think that it's just really important for us to recognise that that's not how it should be.
Yeah, education should be fun.
Yeah.
Like you should do what you should do what you want. You should learn what you want, and there are certain things you need to learn, but you learn those pretty early on. I think everyone should you should enjoy school. I enjoyed school, I think, but there is a lot of people that didn't. There's a lot of people in our year that didn't enjoy it and would never want to go back. And that's not how it should be. When you're eventually going to bring up your own children, you don't want your influence of school to affect theirs, because it's just a knock-on effect then, isn't it? Yeah. It's just doesn't help anyone.
And how proud of you actually to be here today marking this next phase?
So immensely proud, because so many things like this programme happen across the country and across the world, and in my opinion they just don't amount to anything. And nowadays I still think a lot of people are like, yeah, let's talk about mental health, let's fix this problem, but then when you actually go out to try and find the help, it is not there at all. Because at the moment I myself, I'm trying to get some help, and I'm just being bounced around between doctors and programs, and actually we don't think this is suitable for you, so I'll put you on the waiting list for this, and it's been months and nothing has happened. And now there is a program in place here that can help people at an early age, and they won't necessarily need to go to anyone in order to help themselves. And I'm so incredibly happy that Rutland now has the opportunity to lead by example and to start fixing this problem.
Yeah. Anything to add to that?
She's got it all, really. It's not really anything. It's just, again, like you say, action. We've done a lot of talking over the past 3 years, and it's nice to actually see something happen. Because you can stand here and you can say it all you want, but actually it's nice when things do start to happen, and it will start to unravel, and people that we needed to be involved are really involved now, and that's great to see, and it's a great thing to have been a part of.
Everyone is so committed and dedicated to improving this and to making this programme work, and I just have every faith in it, especially with people like Anne behind it, because she is so dedicated. It's amazing.
So my name is Dr. Anne Williams, and I have led on this project for the last 4.5 years now, basically.
And I've met you before. We've covered this, the development of what we're here today to celebrate, really, that nearly £500,000 is going to support every child in Rutland in one way or another. How will it actually happen?
So the programme has been developed, as we talked about today, over the last 4 and more years, when we discovered just exactly where the problems lay, and the young people in the schools were actually saying we need help, and we need actually help at an early stage, that is early intervention and learning to be resilient. All of these things can be learnt, but you can't make it up. So we realised then that we had to be talking to professional help, and the professional help is out there, and so we developed the programme actually with the schools, and as we've said, with the young people. And we now have a programme which consists of mainly bringing counselling to the schools, because the schools of Rutland actually don't have any counsellors. There is a counsellor in the 2 private schools. In 2 public schools there are counsellors, but the state schools don't have any counsellors as such. And they've had to build up their own pastoral teams, which they've done, and they've worked very hard at that. But they really do need the help of fully trained professionals. And so now we are going to be able to provide that. So we're going into a process now, of course, of recruitment. We're getting professional help to do that recruitment. And then there will be 3 professional counsellors for the children of Rutland, which is enormous already. The next thing that we're doing is introducing resilience training. Now, we did some resilience training last year. We got a very generous grant from Rotary International and another grant from the Carlton Hayes Mental Foundation, and we were able to bring in a professional group, which is, most people know about Young Minds, which is the national biggest charity, and they came and did resilience training, and we had mindfulness training also in the primary schools and the secondary schools. But that was all a one-off, because that was the money we had, which was not very much. Now today we have this generous grant from the big lottery, and it means that we have a full programme extended over the 3 years, which means that staff will be trained in resilience and they will be able to work with the young people to bring this coping strategy to the young people, which is so needed. So that's resilience and mindfulness. So above that, but perhaps we should have mentioned it first, we have the Anna Freud Institute. They have developed with Manchester University and with Brighton University a tool for measuring resilience in young people. And we are now able to bring them to Rutland. And they're working in several other parts of the country, but they will come. And we are actually starting on November the 13th. So they kick off, and they have a way of testing over a 3-year period how resilience can be built up. So that's the programme, pretty well.
What you're helping to develop is Foundations for Life.
Yes, and this whole idea of building resilience and early intervention is really what we're talking about, because, as everybody knows, the mental health problems are out there, and there are different levels, starting with, simple anxiety to the worst possible cases of stress, which then need clinical help. So the whole idea about this is that you will bring early help. So there will be fewer cases. Of course, there'll always be cases of serious mental problems, but they should not all be treated as clinically serious. And that's what's happening at the moment. If a young person has problems today, there is very little that their parents or the schools can do except send them to their GPs. And then if the GP deems necessary, they will send them to CAMS, the Children and Adolescent Mental Health Service, which is completely blocked. There are months and months of waiting, despite the fact that everyone is trying to improve the service. And this should not happen. These children should not be going as far as CAMS. And we heard the story of Tim, who had that experience, and so many others.
Highlights from the past 7 days, the Rutland Radio Podcast.
Oh, Daniel.
Connor.
And you're dressed in uniform as there would have been in World War I. So this is authentic stuff. I guess, how does it feel?
Really itchy and really good to be in what they was in World War I.
You've got the rifle there as well.
Yeah, this is the real one instead of the replica. This is much heavier than the replica. All these bits can move, so the replica can't. And when you can move all these bits, like the aiming and aiming and everything, you can move.
And how's this whole day been for you? What's it made you feel?
It's made me feel a bit sad because all the people who died in World War I and World War II, but we're still having a great day to respect that they died and how good it is to just be doing what dressing up like them, and yeah.
So it's really kind of bringing the whole thing alive for you.
Yeah, thinking of our ancestors who actually fought and died in the World War.
So what will you be? Would you like to go on Sunday? I mean, you obviously had your own service today, didn't you, to pay your respects?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
And what that moment when everyone was gathered outside and people were laying wreaths and the last post was sounding, how was that?
It made us think about the people who died, and yeah.
It's a huge thing, wasn't it? Just 100 years ago, this is what it was like.
Yeah.
Rutland Radio.
Nick Beggy, Ward Councillor for Greetham.
Thank you very much, Nick Beggy, for coming in today. You're a councillor, so why do you think people should become councillors?
Being a county councillor is an incredibly important part of Rutland life. As a ward councillor, you are that conduit between the local residents and the county council, and you can begin to sort out a lot of local issues within your ward, as well as on a strategic level begin to shape the future of Rutland.
So the council have got a special event coming up this weekend, haven't they?
Yes, we have a event on Saturday where you can come in and hear from other local councillors and from the leader about what life as a councillor is all about. That runs from 10 o'clock and another session at 12:30 at the council offices.
So what does a councillor actually do?
It's quite a varied role. When I came in, I was a little bit ignorant of what the role was because I was following in my father's footsteps. But what it involves is twofold, really. One is being that mouthpiece for your local residents, and that can be on planning issues, housing issues, highways, traffic, or on a more strategic level about the future of Rutland. The other part is actually helping form strategy for what Rutland will look like in the future, and that may be involvement in transport, infrastructure, young people, adult social care. So it's an incredibly varied role, but incredibly important. And without people putting themselves forward, you won't have the opportunity to shape the future for Rutland people.
How much time does it take up? Is it full-time, part-time?
No, it's certainly not full-time. I'm certainly lucky that I can work my diary, because there are some times where you do need to be available during the day. But in the main, just as a ward councillor, it takes up evenings and the ability to be able to respond to emails and on telephone. And one thing we're really keen from is to get people of younger generations involved, because it's their future and it's their future Rutland that we need to mould. Obviously, if you have more time on your hands, you can get more involved in various committees and panels, and then ultimately part of the cabinet and actually make the decisions that will shape the future of the county.
So why do you do it, Nick? Why do you like being a councillor?
Well, I'm quite strange, actually, because my father was involved with Greetham for 20 years, and when he passed away, I felt I wanted to carry on his work. But having been involved since then, I find it incredibly important, the role that I'm doing, to make sure the residents of my ward and Rutland get the deals that they deserve. Rutland's an incredibly special county, and without people like myself who has a passion to keep Rutland as it is and to keep it growing and thriving for the future, you don't have a voice. So I think it's incredibly important that people get involved and help shaping the future. And it's only since I've been involved in politics and as a ward councillor that I understand the enormous amount of hard work that council officers and other ward members put in for the benefit of Rutland people.
So if there's someone who's not quite happy with something in their area and they've got some ideas on how to improve things and think, I could be a voice for this area, then they should come along, shouldn't they?
Absolutely. Come along. There is a load of videos and vox pops from various ward members. There are officers. The leader will be there. Just come and find out what it's all about. And honestly, as I found out, you can really make a difference to the future of Rutland if you get involved.
Rutland Radio's Best Bits on the podcast.
Morning, Rob. It's George.
Yes, hello. Are you on the stall this morning?
I am, certainly. I'm just there now waiting for the cover to come, and then I'll be loading it up with pumpkin.
175 pumpkins.
Well, that's what we collected yesterday. I have to say there were some taken yesterday afternoon, but the majority of them will be here, yeah.
So is this the first time, actually, you've had a stall on the market like this for second helpings?
It's the first time second helpings have had a stall on the market, yes. But when we get unusual collections like that, then we have to do something different, don't we?
I remember it being bananas the last time, actually, at the Stamford Dog Show, actually. You were giving everyone bananas because you'd had so many.
We did, yes. We gave bananas away there, and we have been out on occasions delivering bananas to schools.
And strawberries as well in the summer, I know.
Strawberries and grapes we've delivered to schools.
Could you give us any ideas for pumpkin recipes if someone would like to support your stall today?
I've got 6 different recipes that we're giving to people. The first one that I can see is pumpkin and pear soup.
And second helping's now 3 years old and still helping so many people as well, and helping food waste.
Yeah, oh yes, well that's what this is all about. We wouldn't be at the stall if we weren't interested in saving food waste.
Rutland Radio.
My name is David Waite. I'm from Serpentine Green, Hampton in Peterborough.
So David, thank you for joining me today. You've had a special mission, haven't you?
Yes, from July of this year, I set out to do 8 challenges for Disability Peterborough. The first one was the Three Peaks Challenge, where I trekked, climbed up Ben Nevis, Scaffold Pike and Snowdon in just under 24 hours. August, done a parachute jump in Sibson from 12,000 feet. My third challenge was a 100k race across the South Coast Downs, including the Seven Sisters, and done 100 kilometres in 16 hours and 21 minutes. And then my most recent one was Nepal. I've just got back from Nepal 2 weeks ago, where I climbed 3 different peaks, got to the summit of a peak at 5,300 metres, one at just around 5,600 metres, and then the one that I really wanted to get to the top of was called Island Peak, which was 6,200 metres, and I had to turn around 200 metres from the top because of the altitude.
Oh god!
It was just it feels really frustrating now, because now I'm back at a normal height. It's only 200 metres, but it was really hard work. And then 4 weeks today, I literally, almost to the minute, I will be in Peru doing a 130 kilometre race across the desert in Peru.
You're like Action Man.
It's to raise money for Disability Peterborough and raise awareness for them. And then challenge number 6, I'm going to the Brecon Beacons in Wales to do it in January, to do a 50 kilometre ultra marathon across the Brecon Beacons. So it's really steep, will be nice and snowy, and that's the 5th and 6th of January. February, doing something called the Pilgrim Challenge, which is a 66-mile race across the North Coast Downs. And then the big one is in April, where I'm doing, it's called the Marathon des Sables, which is a 250 kilometre race across the Sahara, and that's in April. I'm starting to wonder whether it's not just a midlife crisis and I can't afford a sports car.
Yes, you're going to be achieving so much as well, mentally. I mean, raising awareness for the charity, and also for you as well, mentally and physically.
Yeah. I mean, it's been a massive change. It started with being accepted with the Marathon des Sables. I got an email to confirm that I was a confirmed participant at the end of March, and since then I've had to drastically change. So I've lost 4.5 stone since the end of March.
Oh my god!
So I'm not your typical always been into it, born athlete. I deep down, I am a lazy person, and I need challenges like this to sort of help me lose weight and get fit, really.
And why did you choose Disability Peterborough? Why was that the one that you wanted to support?
We've done quite a lot of work at Serpentine Green with the charity, where they come in, set stands up and raise awareness of the charity. And I've done a few different fundraising things in the past, and it's not to knock national charities, but raising £5,000 or £6,000 for national charities probably doesn't help that much, whereas Disability Peterborough are a smaller charity. It's helping local people within Peterborough, and I've set myself a target of £10,000, and I'm at just over 9,000 already, and that will make a massive difference. Hundreds of people that live with disabilities will be able to use the gym there, do different classes, and get the support from the Disability Peterborough team. So it does feel like it's a bit more worthwhile.
So you've got your next challenge coming up in 4 weeks.
Yes.
How do you prepare for them? They're all so different.
Train very hard. So because I've got a real job as well, I've got a family as well, I'm up at 5:30 most mornings to train for an hour and a half to 2 hours. So I went for a biggish run of about 5 or 6 miles this morning. We'll do that again, and it'd be a longer run tomorrow. So it's a variety, and that in a way is been beneficial to me, because it's such different training. I get bored quite easy, so this keeps it completely varied, that I'll be running one day, doing weights and sort of circuit training.
So where can people donate to you?
It's on the local giving page, and it's called Weighties Monster Challenges. Search for local giving and then search Weighties Monster Challenges. The giving page is on there.
And you've also, on one of your mountain expeditions, you took a Rutland Radio flag up with you, didn't you?
Yes, that was taken at around 18,500 feet.
And which mountain was it again?
And that was called Chukung. And that was a difficult one, and yeah, it was 18,000 feet, but the views were stunning, and I just thought it is the right place to take the photo, because that photo shows that, you know, the clouds and all the mountains behind. But talking about it makes me want to go back now.
Oh. And whereabouts in that mountain range was that again? Which country was
that?
It
Was Nepal, and that was in the Himalayas. So I had a good view of Everest. I saw a little glimpse of Everest. And it's just the people out there as well. You know, the climb is the challenge, and that's what it was all about, to try and raise the money. But just the experience of meeting new and different people and seeing people out in Nepal was it was worth it just for that.
The weekly Rutland Radio podcast.
I'm Tim Nichol. I'm one of the organisers of this weekend's commemoration activities.
Okay. Thank you very much, Rob. I'm at Easton on the Hill with Tim Nichol, who is organising these wonderful commemoration events at Easton on the Hill. You've got a lot going on over this weekend, haven't you?
Yes, it's a very special weekend, and there's a huge number of people that have come together to organise a whole stream of events, which starts today at 10:30 with a major commemoration event here around the War Memorial. We're in the company of Stamford Brass and various representatives of the military to commemorate the approximately 10% of the adult male population of Easton on the Hill who fell and did not return in the First World War.
That's a lot, 10% not to come back.
Yes, it is, and it includes, even more tragically, 5 brothers of the same family, the Nichols family, no relation, and their names are inscribed along with the others on our war memorial, and their names will be read as part of the commemoration services about to take place.
So yeah, the service starts at 10:30. You've got things going on in the village hall as well?
Yes, there's a huge exhibition going on in the village hall, which is like sort of compressing the Imperial War Museum into our village hall. There's a tremendous array of artefacts, and a lot of historical research has gone into what's being displayed there, including the stories of the fallen from the village, and they'll all be on display there, and people in uniform will be there to help guide people around. That's going to be open all weekend, so we invite anybody and everybody to come along. There's a wonderful soup kitchen and tea room next door to it in a big marquee, so that's going to be open all weekend. This evening we're going to have a massive party, basically a celebration dinner and dance. It's called the All Over Supper Dance, and that's in the marquee here at the Blue Bell. And then tomorrow, Sunday, we will have a shorter, smaller commemoration at 11 o'clock with the silence, again at the War Memorial here. And then in the afternoon, at 4 o'clock, we have a lantern procession that starts from the War Memorial and leads down to the churchyard, where we will celebrate around our new Peace Garden, which has recently been opened, a celebration of peace. And we have another marquee up there where we'll have mulled wine, hot dogs, a folk duo and a local singing group called Harmony on the Hill will be there to entertain and, in a respectful way, to mark 100 years of peace.
I think you should be very proud of everything that's going on in Easton on the Hill, because it's quite a small place, but there is lots and lots happening to commemorate 100 years since the end of World War I.
That's right. It's a lovely village with 1,000 souls or so. A lot of people have come together to organise this. It's amazing the sort of skills and contacts and effort that you can unearth just by people being positive about the place and getting on with things and just ignoring some of the things that sometimes drag us back, the sort of apathy that can be present in villages and towns these days. There's a group of us that just like to get on with things.
Thank you very much, Tim.
Thank you, Lydia.
Rutland Radio.
Thank you, Rob. I'm at Tresham Field, just off Land's End Way in Oakham, with Mayor Adam Lowe and Lord Lieutenant Sarah Finesse. You've got a service going on here today, haven't you?
Yes, we have. We're sort of helping commemorate the Great War by recognising this green space as a centenary field.
The name's going to change from today onwards?
Yes, from whatever name it may have been known as, it will be known as the Rutland Remembers Centenary Field.
And it has a lovely plaque on the gate as you come in here saying Oakham 1914 to 18.
Yes, that was a horseshoe that we did at the beginning of the commemoration period, and it's got the names of all the soldiers. That will be moving off the site today, but there will be, on the unveil, there will be a huge information plaque telling about the field and why it's being dedicated.
And it's a very poignant story, actually. I mean, Adam and Julie managed to uncover this memorial stone to George Ernest Gibson,
Yeah.
and he was a much-loved secretary of the the Agricultural Society, which originally owned this land, and they put a memorial stone up to him. And he lived through the First World War. But what's really poignant is that his son John, who served with the Leicestershire Yeomanry, died and didn't ever come back. So this memorial stone is in a way of also looking back to the awful loss that George and his wife Esther suffered during the First World War, and remembering John, who is buried in France and never returned. So it's a very nice way and positive way of celebrating life, because here we are, we've got a field where people can walk their dogs and play and so on, and I think it's a very good way of commemorating that.
We've got so much history and so many stories in Rutland, and it's really lovely that Oakham and all the other towns are doing so much to commemorate.
Yes, and the thing is, I was at an event only yesterday evening at Whissendine Church. I'm going to one this evening at Uppingham Church. And of course, tomorrow is all the celebrations which will be happening at the churches throughout the whole of the county. But Rutland is certainly punching above its weight when it comes to commemorating the Great War.
It absolutely is. And in fact, I was in correspondence with His Royal Highness Prince Harry, who has written specifically to me to send his compliments to Rutland and say how touched he's been and what an amazing effort we've made. And I think it's probably because we are very proud of our military connections. We've got 2 military bases in the county, and we're very proud of that. And we've had the most amazing World War I committee working for 4 years, of which Adam has been a leading light. He's done all sorts of research. But I have to also compliment Robert Boyle, who was the previous chair of that. But there have been over 20 people involved in working on it, so it's not surprising that we've got so many events.
Adam and Sarah, thank you very much for your time.
It's a pleasure, thank you.
Highlights from the past 7 days, the Rutland Radio Podcast.
My name's Richard Orcello and I'm Chief Instructor for Stamford and Oakham Taekwondo.
Okay, so thank you, Rob. I'm here at the Rutland Community Hub with Oakham and Stamford Taekwondo. Richard Orcello, you've got loads of people here doing a bit of Taekwondo, showing the community how it works.
Yeah, today we're kicking for the community. We're doing a fundraising event, part of the anniversary celebrations. Oakham Taekwondo has been here for 10 years and Stamford Taekwondo has been around for 20 years this year. And part of that, we're now giving back to the community. We're just trying to raise money for a project that's going on at Voluntary Action Rutland.
You've got people coming from all over the country, haven't you?
Yeah, I'm quite fortunate. I'm in a position where I'm coach with the England team. So a lot of the people that I've taught in the past, they're all coming together today, raising money.
As you can hear in the background, there's lots of smashing and banging and clanging. They're all doing their thing.
We're hoping later on we'll be breaking tiles and bricks and breeze blocks and all the boards and the wood that's going around. So, yeah, it should be a good day. We're going to have a smashing time.
Lovely. Can people come along and have a go at it?
They can come and have a look. They're more than welcome. If people want to have a go, I'll coach them through the techniques. Yeah,
and
by all
what
means.
time is it on until?
We're here until 4 o'clock.
Lovely. Thank you, Richard.
No,
well, that's it for this week's Rutland Radio podcast. If you have any comments, you can email us via the website, rutlandradio.co.uk, and we'll have a new version on our website from Monday.
This is a download from Rutland Radio. For more information, go to rutlandradio.co.uk.